Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another weekend edition. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. This week has been pretty eventful, to say the least. And the news just does not stop. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. First up, crypto exchange Coinbase is shutting down its institutional investor-focused index fund product, a spokesperson told CoinDesk. The spokesperson told CoinDesk that the Coinbase Index Fund, first launched earlier this year, will be formally closed by the end of the month, with customers instead directed to the recently announced Coinbase Bundle product instead. The news was first reported on Thursday by The Block. The spokesperson said, after assessing demand from retail, accredited, and institutional investors, Coinbase has decided to shut down Coinbase Index Fund. We will be focusing on providing diversified exposure to all investors through Coinbase Bundle, end quote. Unlike the index fund, the bundle is open to all Coinbase customers. I'll touch on that in 1 second. With no accreditation required, the minimum requirement investment is only $25 as well, compared to $250,000 for the fund. Where do I even start to begin on this? A couple of things to preface what I'm about to say. Coinbase, while popular, thought that they were more popular than the rest of the gang. They forgot about Binance. They also said this towards it wasn't like January. I think it had to be somewhere beginning of the year, somewhere around that time period. And this was when people still thought that the prices going down was going to go back up in like March or something like that. And I said it before, and I thought it was quite interesting that there was such a huge, disgusting amount of focus on like the hyper wealthy getting into the cryptocurrency space. For those who were here a couple of months ago, I said I thought it was very weird, and I felt like none of us were actually even part of crypto anymore. Like I felt like every institution had made it their business to no longer care about us. We weren't even part of the game anymore. They decided that when everything had to be like these special custody features and everything that was just for institutional investors, that pretty much means the richest of the rich. I said I thought I wondered how this would play out, simply because I said many times, me and you, I and you, us, all of us together, we got Bitcoin's price to $20,000 without the need of any of these institutional investors who have still not yet gotten to the cryptocurrency space as far as we know, according to the numbers. This is based on speculation and the analysis of the market, what have you. So the fact that they're shutting this down is no surprise to me. I feel like if they had launched this in, let's say, like April 2019, it probably would have taken off. I wouldn't be surprised if sometime next summer they decide to re-bring this back because of the demand for it. At the moment, I said when Coinbase decided that they were going to have this little bundle thing, $25, and you would get an equal portion of all the coins that they have on their website. I said that's the most intelligent thing you can have, because especially if it starts at $25, if you had a good paycheck one month, I want to put $250 into 5 or 6 coins, however many coins Coinbase has on their platform. That's a great idea. You have to be able to. Everyone was so focused, except for Binance and like a couple of other places, on trying to cater to the hyper rich. Because we all thought for a while that when the prices, when Bitcoin was around like 15,000, 12,000, floating around the number, everyone was like, okay, it'll be 30,000 in a couple of weeks. And this is when all this stuff started to come out. Long story short, very long story short, this is going to get, Coinbase has started many different, that's not saying that these things aren't needed, but to try and assume that we don't matter in the market as well is a bit ridiculous. That's the word I'm going to use about it. But I am going to assume that a lot of other cryptocurrency related companies and or entities and or whatever you kind of want to call them, we're going to start to get a lot more news that, at least in my opinion, that other things that they're trying to launch just like this are going to slowly fade away, because realistic, not everyone who's going to be getting into crypto is going to have like 30 million to just throw into the market. It's normal people who are going to, like, this is why there's such a huge amount of focus on South America and Africa right now. Like, it's not the hyper wealthy that are expected to move this boulder. It's a bunch of small hands, thousands of them at a time, that are going to push this thing over the cliff. That's just at least how I feel about it, or what the other analysts are saying at the moment. But good job on them for at least creating a bundle that normal people can at least get into. I think people reached a bit too high too fast. That's just at least how I kind of feel about it. Anyway, moving on. Just going to touch on this for like a second and a half. I think I'm saying Manny Pacquiao. I think he had a fight or something last year. Anyway, the point is, he was talking about creating his own cryptocurrency and that it could potentially launch this year. Two things. When people talk about a cryptocurrency bubble or like a market bubble, this is usually a very good indication of it. We don't need his coin. The market does not need his coin. My plants that I have sitting on my table don't need their own coin. There isn't a need for a coin for everything, and that kind of touches on the other part. We have entered a realm where this is kind of like the version 1.5 of what we had earlier this year, where everyone and every company and every single thing decided to add blockchain to their name. There's so many people, not Kanye, there's some other celebrity, I can't remember their name right now. They were talking about creating their own cryptocurrency. There was also, oh gosh, what's his name? Akon, the musical artist, who was talking about creating Akon coin, or like A coin or something like that, and having people in Africa use it. Like, I understand wanting to be a part of the cause, but I was reading an article and they were talking about why like Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Diamond and Bitcoin Gold and all these other Litecoin Cash and so get so much flack. And it's pretty much because, for what it's worth, a large portion of these coins don't really have a reason to exist. If you are thinking of getting into the cryptocurrency space, especially if you're a celebrity, it usually, for me, makes a bit more sense to, do like 6 weeks of research, find some coins that you actually like, and then go and promote these coins. It's kind of the same exact thing what we had 2 weeks ago, where we had, I think, 3 or 4 sports teams who were talking about also creating their own crypto and giving out physical crypto and prizes at like football games and stuff like that, and baseball games. And it's like, why are you doing that? Doesn't it just make more sense, at least logically in my head? Like, I understand, I had discussions with people before, and they were talking about that they think that eventually the crypto space will have millions of tokens, like a token for everything, and that it's healthy in order to have a multitude of tokens. You be honest with me for like half a second. How many of you would go into a Starbucks and use the Manny Pack coin? Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So many celebrities are trying to get into it. Like, at least, I mean, we have, not to even give the Kardashians like a, an ounce of light. When we had that thing where I think it was Kim Kardashian, she was talking about that they've moved on to Bitcoin. Like, just move, get to, if you're going to get into the cryptocurrency space, at least try to make sure, I don't know. I don't know. It's like so many people are trying to get into crypto just because they heard that someone else made money off of it. And this is why I always say do your own research. Because I can only imagine, if this launches, how many people are going to try and buy this coin and then use this coin. We also had a lot of problems with celebrities at the beginning of this year who were boasting about ICOs, or were like, advertising ICOs and stuff like that on their Twitter and on their Instagram and stuff like that. And it turned out like every single one of them was a scam, and it just kind of is what it is. But this is yet another celebrity who's trying to launch their own cryptocurrency that could launch by this year. And I can only assume, if or when the crypto markets do eventually shoot up to the sky, look how straight this line is. It's ridiculous. By the time crypto starts shooting up, I can only assume that we're going to have an enormous amount of celebrities talking about creating their own coin and how it's beneficial to the market. What have you. Let's move on. Okay, so this This ties into the news that we've been having over the last couple of weeks in general. Bitcoin's fluctuations, or even lack thereof, a lot of people have been saying that the stability. Okay, so on one side, we have people who are happy with the stability of Bitcoin. And on the other side, we have people who are upset that Bitcoin isn't stable enough, if you can believe that. The argument pretty much comes down to that when Bitcoin shoots up and then like slams back down on certain days, this is still a sign that Bitcoin is not where it should be and therefore is in some capacity a risky asset and other people should not get into it. I've kind of stopped paying attention to these. If you see a lot of these in the news, kind of slide by them. In the earliest days of Bitcoin's growth, I got in around 2012, somewhere 13, somewhere around that time. The major argument that actually kept me out of it was because I kept on reading every time I'm like pointing out my eyes as if you guys can see. I was reading constantly that Bitcoin was too volatile. Bitcoin was too this. Bitcoin did not do this. The prices are just absolutely insane. Bitcoin hit $50 one day and then was $10 the next. Why would anyone put their money into this? It's up for you to decide at the end of the day if crypto is actually for you. It's crypto's risky. We get it. But to say digging a bit deeper, that crypto isn't going to go anywhere, or that Bitcoin needs to be stable in order for you to think about putting your money inside of it, that to me is like hogwash. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, let's move on from that as well. Here's a good one. Cryptocurrency regulators in the United Kingdom could take up to 24 months to be introduced, according to a legal expert at a UK-based law firm. James Kaufman, legal director at Reynolds Porter Chamberlain RPC UK, while commenting on the subject in a statement published by the company, said it could take 2 years to introduce such regulations due to a couple of reasons. To achieve the results within such a timeline is based on a best-case scenario, where the proposals with the House of Commons Treasury Committee report starts to progress. RPC is a London-based corporate law firm with the offices in the UK and the Asia. I think I just said and the Asia. The firm, which has over 80 partners, has been named Law Firm of the Year 3 times in a row since 2014. Good for them. According to Kaufman, the process required to move such bills forward are often lengthy. Given that the recent proposals sent to the House of Commons Treasury Committee, HM Treasury, have just begun to move forward. He said bringing in a complex and fast-evolving area like cryptocurrencies into a regulatory framework is going to be difficult and lengthy process. According to this, added to this, big issues like Brexit are already occupying a lot of regulators' time. He noted in a release, according to the statement, past incidents of regulatory changes of lesser magnitude showed that even the 2-year timeline is quite ambitious. He said, past precedents show it can take years to make relatively minor regulatory changes to the financial regulatory regime. For example, it took 2.5 years for the Treasury's official announcement for the regulation of home revision plans to come to force. That's definitely over 2 years. The nicest way of me saying this is, I've said before and I'll say it again, those who are late to the party are going to have a very difficult time. That's the way that there are a lot of countries in the world who are, and I can't even name them off the top of my head at the moment, who are making sure that their laws and regulations for blockchain and cryptocurrencies are out there already. People know exactly what's going on. They've released how much taxes you are going to have to pay. In some cases, it's 0%. These are the countries that I believe that are going to make it in the end. What's odd to me is I get it. I understand the legislation takes a long time. I understand that some of the people who we have governing our countries may not be the quickest people in the entire world. I understand that crypto is new and or scary for them. But what I don't get is that a lot of people, especially, you would assume that world leaders would also kind of get it and would at least throw normal laws on top of the cryptocurrency market, i.e., if you're claiming that everything is a security, just give them normal security laws, and over the course of a 2-year period, slowly modify your laws and change this bill and change this to so-and-so to say, we made a mistake on this, we have to change this because crypto is constantly changing, so-and-so and so. 2 years is a very long time. 2 years, 6 months is a very long time for crypto. I wonder if it's actually going to take 2 years. I know we had, what was it? We had the news a couple of days ago that one of the analysts in the United States said that he thinks that proper crypto regulation will never happen in the United States. He said that he thinks that no coins will actually be singled out by the SEC because of fears of a lawsuit against, or rather from the company who has their coin declared a security. There's only so much time. When the next miraculous bull run does happen, I have a strong feeling, at least in my head, that a lot of countries are going to start to scramble and try to throw out anything that they can. But part of the problem is that they won't know what to do because a lot of them haven't really been paying attention to the market, or not even the market in general, to the cryptocurrency space. So whatever they're going to throw out there is going to be inconsistent, isn't going to really make a lot of sense to them or to the country or to the taxation or potential taxation of the cryptocurrency market. And like I said, once again, computers exist and so do planes. And if you don't like something in one country and you are a company, you can usually just pack up and you have about 190 other countries to choose from. 2 years is a very long time. Let's hope that for their monetary sake in the cryptocurrency space that they do not take 24 months in order to give some type of regulation and or legislation when it comes to cryptocurrencies. At least how I feel about it. On the stablecoin thing, Malta-based cryptocurrency exchange OKEX has announced that it is adding 4 US dollar-pegged cryptocurrencies to a trading platform. Rolling out the new additions over Monday and Tuesday, the exchange said in a support notice that it will list Trust Tokens True USD, Circle's USD Coin, the Gemini Exchange Dollar, and the Paxos Standard Token, or simply PAX. There were actually a couple of these that slid by me during the week, and I just thought I'd compress them into one normal news story. There's been a ruffling of feathers in the cryptocurrency space when it comes to, first of all, those who were not here before. Little recap: Tether probably isn't real. If it is real, people have lost faith in it. We had news, I think, and I showed like a graph or something like that. I think there's like 35 different stable coins like around the entire world. Many of them we didn't even have news about because some were like in Russia, some were in certain parts of South America, certain parts, I think there's like 1 or 2 in Africa or something like that. Everyone is trying desperately to move away from Tether as quickly as possible. And I said before that I figured that Tether probably wasn't real simply because of the news that we had around them. There's also other news that people were talking about that they did their own internal investigations and that probably that Tether was overall fake. This led me to believe that these exchanges and these other people and the Winklevoss twins and so and Coinbase, blah, 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 all at some point came to the conclusion together, probably video chatting with each other, and said, Tether's not real. We have to make as many stable coins as possible. And this is why earlier this week as well, the Gemini token, coin, stable token, whatever you want to call it, shot up. I think it was like, instead of being a dollar, I think it shot up to like $1.16 or 14 cents or something like that. Which showed that there was a massive amount of demand for it. This is only going to continue happening. There was also news as well that I think 750 or 700 million Tether are no longer in circulation, rather, which is troubling. And I think if we get to a point where there's like, let's say 1.2 billion, 1.45 billion Tether floating around, especially from now, because I think we're still over the 2 limit, that is going to be a major indication that something is terribly wrong. And I can only assume the amount of news that we're going to have, because I'm still under the mindset that there are definitely a lot of other places who are making their own stablecoin, and everybody wants to have a major slice of the pie, because those who do end up making it, I already told you before, I mean, it's not like you should be investing in stablecoins in the first place, but the ones that I think that are going to make it are probably this 4. In like order of 1 to 4, it's probably going to be Gemini, Pax, Circle, and then True USD, simply because Gemini and Pax have been in the news talking about that they are the actual like regulated ones within the United States, and they're having like weekly audits and stuff like that. Long story short, the market or rather the stablecoin market is trying to figure out a way to best push their coins out to the public so that other people know that these coins are in existence. I think it was also Huobi, Huobi was the other exchange that also listed 4 other stablecoins because, yeah, Tether's probably not real. So let's move on. This will probably be the best thing that you will hear all weekend, and that is not even a joke. The American Association of Retired Persons, or the AARP, has ascribed a bizarre definition to a Bitcoin in a caustically worded article on its website published on Wednesday. In the slideshow posted titled, "Improve Your Financial Literacy with this glossary. Keep those words in mind." A heavy dose of contempt is specifically reserved for the description of Bitcoin and blockchain in their respective slides, while other terms like emerging markets and exchange-traded funds are defined using regular financial language. After beginning with a level-headed definition of the term asset allocation, the article moves on to Bitcoin, describing it with a few choice words that are at once dismissive and inaccurate. The post reads, "Bitcoin, a bunch of computer code that a bunch of criminals, idealists, and speculators argue is worth real money. Sadly, its real money value swings wildly, making it impractical except for criminals, idealists, and speculators." It then says for blockchain, blockchain is a different bunch of computer code containing an unalterable record of a series of transactions. The most famous is a digital ledger recording all digital Bitcoin transfers, a word often uttered by many companies hoping to snare investors' attention and dollars. I'll say it this way. I grew up in the States, for those who didn't know, listen to my accent, though it does change sometimes. The point is, I grew up in the States, so I know what AARP is. This doesn't really surprise me, but their choice of words, I mean, I spoke before and I said I feel like a large part, maybe not all of cryptocurrency is definitely generational in some sort of aspects. But to call Bitcoin a bunch of computer code that a bunch of criminals, idealists, and speculators agree is worth real money is a bit intense. What I think is the funniest part for me about all of this is, and this is my own personal opinion, organizations like the AARP are usually invested with companies like Fidelity. They usually have stocks and bonds and mutual funds and sometimes ETFs and futures and so blah, 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 so and so, as they are trying to find a way to help the aging community find a way to invest their money as they go into their golden years. What's funny is that in about 5 years, the AARP is probably going to have a stake in cryptocurrencies, and I wonder if they'll then change their definition of what they believe that it is. It's kind of weird that I'll put it this way. I assume the people who wrote this probably are the same people who hang out with Warren Buffett, and I no longer, my personal opinion, listen to Warren Buffett ever since I heard him call Bitcoin Bitchain. That was the last straw. That was the everything that I needed to hear from him. I'm going to assume it's from people from a very different generation who have been groomed, I'll say it that way, to believe that money is something that is printed by another organization who works in the dark, and therefore it has to be trusted because you are told that it has to be trusted. Once again, how I only, this is my personal opinion, not really too much to say about this, but I thought it's kind of a lot. The ironic part of all of this is that for those who weren't here before, Jamie Dimon, one of the heads of JP Morgan Chase, had these same exact words in 2014, 15, 16, and beginning of 2017. As prices continue to completely explode, you realize we don't hear a word from Jamie Dimon anymore because he invests in Bitcoin. We found out, really interesting part. On one of the podcasts, I think it was Unconfirmed, don't quote me on that, someone was talking to someone who was like a former worker of JP Morgan Chase, and they said when Jamie Dimon was going into the news and he was telling people, if you work at JP Morgan Chase and you are touching Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, you are going to be fired. Anyone who works for me who uses Bitcoin is going to be fired. They said at that same exact time when he was making that statement, JP Morgan was either mining Bitcoin or they were buying huge amounts of it over the market, over the counter. This is why I said when you hear these like major people in the news and they're talking about how bad and horrible Bitcoin is and you don't hear anything about them for the next couple of months, it's because they bought into the market. As of now, like I said, the best part for me of all of this is that they're definitely going to have some type of a stake in the cryptocurrency market in the coming years. And let's see if they end up changing their tune. I'm pretty sure they will. Next up, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has partnered with blockchain startup Coil as part of its mission to provide payment services for the unbanked. The news comes via a tweet from Miller Abel, the foundation's deputy director and principal technologist, on the 17th of April. Abel indicated that the organization and Coil will work together to implement the Interledger protocol and explore ways to support pro-poor payment systems. Interledger is an interoperability protocol that allows payments across different crypto networks. The technology was initially co-developed by former Ripple CTO Stephen Thomas while he was still with the distributed ledger payments firm. The same tech now being used as a basis of Coil, which Thomas founded early this year. While further details of the new partnership are thus far sparse, Abel also mentioned Ripple in his tweets yesterday. The Gates Foundation announced its partnership with Ripple in October last year, when the two released an open source software called Mojaloop, also focused on payment services to the poor and unbanked. Bill Gates he's like fairly active. I want to say more in the blockchain space, but he doesn't seem to be afraid of cryptocurrencies. I still think for a lot of these major, more traditional players, I think crypto is still very abstract to them. Like, I'm not saying, Bill, he's a genius. Like, I'm not saying that he doesn't understand the concept of cryptocurrencies. It's more like I think a lot of players are still very wary of getting into like actual physical, quote unquote, physical crypto. Because I think no one knows exactly how far it's going to go, where it's going to go, how big it's going to get. And you don't want to be like one of the first people to announce we will be accepting this coin, and then that coin ends up kind of falling apart. I think some of the like the terminology that they use, that they're trying to like provide services for the unbanked. That's like mega speculation. I was gonna say something like with Omise Go, because they use kind of the same exact term, but don't even mind that. That's just like super speculation. It would be kind of cool though. I'm pretty sure I wonder what it's like behind the doors of certain cryptocurrency projects, because I can only assume that they're trying to call and email people all day, trying to get some type of partnership going with them. Would be kind of cool. But anyway, let's move on. Okay, here's a good one. Earlier this week, we had news. What's his name? Nouriel Roubini. For those who did not see the movie The Big Short, it's a pretty good movie. It came out 2011, 12, 13, 14, somewhere around that time. It's about the financial crash of 2008. And the guy, Nouriel Roubini, he and a few others predicted the market crash of 2008/2009. But Roubini is typically credited as like the bigger person. I mean, he has all the movies, he has the books, so everyone kind of pays attention to him. He stated a while ago, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days ago, he went in front of the U.S. Senate and said that he thought all of crypto was a farce. 99% of coins have no need to exist. He thought this didn't work. He thought Ethereum was like, what did he say? Like Ethereum was full of like childish developers who had no idea what it was. It was this really, really weird rant. The problem is that he holds weight in the world of economists and the world of money making, as when you are an oracle and you predict a market crash unlike anything that we've seen since like the 1920s, people began to listen to you. So when he started screaming at the top of his lungs that cryptocurrency was fake, the crypto people were writing on Twitter. First of all, people in crypto were attacking him like viciously, and they were people were commenting on Twitter that they thought that it was a beautiful moment when everyone in crypto can not shill their coins for 4 seconds and kind of come together and just attack one single person who had no idea what he was talking about. A lot of people on podcasts said, Rubini does have a general idea of what cryptocurrencies are, but his main argument is that they don't work now and they're never ever going to work. Like, typically he says Bitcoin can't scale, it's never going to scale. Ethereum can't do this. Well, there's no way on this earth that Ethereum will ever be able to do that. Luckily, this guy right here, Vitalik Buterin, who is the creator / co-creator of Ethereum. Everyone calls him the creator because he's the face that we typically normally see. Luckily for us, he is very active on Twitter and does not hold back his words. And he had a digital fight, with Rubini on Twitter, and they kind of let loose. There was, oh gosh, what was it called? There was a podcast earlier this week that I was listening to, and it might have been the funniest thing in the entire world. It had to be with Laura Shin. I'm pretty sure it was with Laura Shin. I don't agree with everything that she says. Sometimes she is still relatively new to the cryptocurrency space. I do like how professional her podcasts are, but I don't agree with the coins that she believes are going to make it. Anyway, she said in one of her latest podcasts that after the entire fiasco went down with Rubini in front of the Senate and against Vitalik Buterin and especially Ethereum, she sent him an email asking him if he would come on to her podcast and discuss what he felt was wrong with crypto. And she said the next day, she opened up her email and she said, I've never received an email that was so nasty. She's apparently he just like cursed at her in paragraphs, telling her to nicest way of saying it is go do away with herself, and that he had no interest in talking with her. So the idea came up that Vitalik was like, listen, I'd like to have a public debate with you as to the future of cryptocurrencies, especially you have so many negative things to say about crypto. Let me know why. Let everyone know why. Vitalik is like hyper intelligent. He's not the most intelligent human in the world. I get it. I got it. If you listen to him speak, sometimes like when you hear something and like you really want to pay attention because you want to like feel really smart when you're listening to it, but you kind of drift off and like you'll look at something in the corner of the room. That's what happens when he speaks. Like he says things and people kind of like they look. Like, point is, I personally want to see this happen. I am actually desperate for this to happen. I really hope that this. I feel like Nuria will say yes. He's very outspoken as well. He thinks that he's right. I want to see exactly what his rebuttal will be, that crypto cannot scale right now and that it will never scale. I'm pretty I can only imagine what Vitalik's going to say to him. Long story short, I hope this actually ends up happening. I hope it happens soon as well. I would actually love that. I've seen like debates before and people have done like Skype debates and it was like really whatever, because when you're face to face or like on stage sitting next to each other, it kind of makes for great TV. I would love if CNBC or like some other news forecasting thing had like a 1.5 hour segment just dedicated to that. I think it would definitely be worth the watch. The point is, I think this is definitely going to happen. Let's hope that it does happen. And yeah, let's move on. So months ago, we had news that the Mt. Gox situation is pretty much over. This is more so me telling if you had any coins with Mt. Gox, or you have Bitcoin, or I guess they didn't really have any other coins back then. If you had Bitcoin with Mt. Gox, you have at this point, I think 2 or 3 days left to be able to submit a claim to Mt. Gox telling them, hey, I had Bitcoin with the whatever. I'd like to have it back. There are still a lot of fears floating around about the entire Mt. Gox thing, simply because we now have confirmation that when the Mt. Gox coins are given back to the people who had them, they won't be given yen or any type of fiat currency. They will be paid back in Bitcoin. And also there's also, I think I read somewhere as well that they're going to also as well be paid in Bitcoin Cash, as they should have received those coins as well from the fork. Luckily for the market, luckily in bolded quotes. This probably won't happen. I think it's not supposed to happen until sometime summer of next year. So if the crypto market does end up picking up and we, let's say, get over to 15,000 per Bitcoin and the market is, chugging along, this maybe shouldn't hopefully have a huge detrimental something thrown at it like we've seen in the past. Anyway, let's move on from this. This is probably what I think is one of the coolest stories in a while. Taiwanese smartphone manufacturer HTC will finally launch its blockchain-powered smartphone Exodus in a week. The company shared details on the launch of its Instagram page, which is now deleted, via a teaser video. As expected, the video didn't reveal much on the project or the features to be expected from Exodus. It revealed the suggestive numbers 10.22, meaning the product would debut on October 22nd, next Monday. Exodus is a brainchild of HTC Vice creator Phil Chen. That's not all that important. He said on Siren OS would create a streamlined and secure user experience for both cryptocurrency and blockchain so that anyone can pick up a device and function within the world of crypto without needing to learn any additional information. Here's the patent, I guess, for it. As with the Finny phone, users should expect Exodus to focus on security. The blockchain-powered phone should come with a cold storage locker for storing major cryptocurrencies offline. The phone is also expected to run Android operating system. As CCN reported earlier this year, the Exodus will provide support for the publishing of decentralized applications, or dApps, which is major, and is expected to serve as a launchpad for HTC's native blockchain network. Crypto traders will be particularly pleased with the application, as it will come with a cold storage wallet that supports the major digital assets, including Bitcoin and Ethereum. I can only assume that they're going to also have XRP, Litecoin, so and so. And so I feel like from Taiwan, they probably won't have an issue with creating a phone that will lock up at least the top 10 coins. Tether excluded from that. So I think Tron ends up jumping into the spot of whoever's number 11 right now. Point is, I'm extremely excited for this. I told you guys before when this was first announced a couple of months ago. If this phone is like $1,500, not going to happen. If it's $800, you got to catch me on a good day. If this phone is like $350, maybe $400, because typically Android phones have a nice price point, and I have a cold storage locker for my cryptocurrencies, especially major cryptocurrencies, and I don't quote me on this. There was a company that was talking about creating a phone. I think this has to be it. It has to be HTC. They were talking about creating a phone that would also act as a Bitcoin node. That would help to hyper decentralize the network. If I'm getting a Bitcoin node with this, or I'm able to run a Bitcoin node on my phone as well as a cold storage for $350, probably already sold. I'm probably going to already buy it. But I think, one, this is not a paid ad. Got to throw that out there. That is not me telling you to buy this phone either. I'm obsessed with cryptocurrencies, if you didn't notice. And I think the idea of a phone that runs on a blockchain that's going to be able to store cryptocurrencies as well as potentially being a node, you can't really pass that up. Let's see exactly how this is going to end up playing out. I'm really hoping that the price isn't too expensive. What I hope ends up... Okay, first of all, also on the entire thing about dApps, yes, I need... One, I hope that more phones and companies end up doing this. I can only assume that they will. If this ends up being a success, you better believe in about 2.5 years, Apple's going to talk about their own blockchain phone, But when it comes to dApps and stuff like that, we have a major issue right now. And I was thinking of this earlier, and it's really funny that this was actually in the actual thing. I was on the Google Play Store, and I was downloading some games, and I was like, it's so weird that we have a store, a place where we can get all these apps, I think the iTunes store, I think it's called as well. There's a place where you can get all these apps. There's no real place where we can scroll through a website and download a dApp. There are places where they'll point you to certain organizations who have created their own dApp. So there's everyone kind of has their own website, but no one has I don't want to say centralized place, but it kind of is what it is. Realistically, and I'll say it to you this way, not everything has to be decentralized or hyper decentralized. If dApps are to make it, and let's say in a world where we have let's say we have 40 different platforms in the future that all act as, DApp platforms. Like you can build your decentralized applications and games on top of them. Let's say Ethereum and Exodus alone, and EOS alone end up having like 800 different dApps on top of them. You're going to have to memorize 800 different websites, or you're going to have to write down 800 different websites, or there's going to have to be a website that tells you the 800 different websites as you're scrolling through multiple pages. You've seen the ease that we have of finding apps and games and stuff for our phone. Like, this needs to happen, and I can only assume it's happening because everyone is more focused on trying to build their own little space. But this is what I mean. Like, everything doesn't have to be decentralized. Like, there should be a website or something on our phones or in a dApp that we have that we can open up, that we can see all of these things that are being built on top of the cryptocurrency space. Because I think that'll propel dApps like really far forward. Like, no one has the time. This is why we had the news. Like, there's like 12 dApps, 12 that are being used majorly at any given time. I think it's like 8 on EOS and 4 on Ethereum. And that's happening because you have to go to their specific website and then download it and do all this other stuff with MetaMask. It takes far too long. I didn't mean to spend too much time on this, but that's how I feel about it. I think crypto could move so much farther ahead if people used things that we already have in the not even real world. It's all digital. That we use and have right now in order to be able to build things like. I feel like crypto could be so much farther ahead, but everyone seems to be in their own space. Everyone's so busy trying to beat everyone else. I feel like crypto could be this monster if everyone came together and actually tried to work on projects. But the point is, this is very exciting, and I still hope that it can act as a node. That would be very, very cool. That's a horrible photo of him. Roger Ver said undercover U.S. agents go on local Bitcoins and arrest people. That is true. I'm not going to even read into the article because Roger Ver is Roger Ver. What's been happening the last couple of months is, first of all, if you use localbitcoin.com, bitcoins.com, please make sure that it is legal to do so in your country or state or province or town, wherever you may live. Please, and I mean that really, please make sure that you know the legal status. Local Bitcoins has been banned in a multitude of places around the world because of money laundering, so and so and so. There was a guy who was arrested a couple of weeks ago, because he was, he had Bitcoin. He had it for quite some time. He was trying to sell them, and I think the amount that he was trying to sell in person came out to be too much. And I think he is either on trial or he's in trouble or something like that. Part of the problem is that that's a horrible photo. People in the cryptocurrency space typically believe that you should be able to do with your money as you please. However, governments do not feel the exact same way. A lot of people have been getting in trouble on local Bitcoins because they're trying to, let's say you got really lucky and you have 300 Bitcoin. And at some point you're like, you know what? I'm going to cash out. I want to go to the Bahamas. You go on local Bitcoins, you try and sell 2 of those Bitcoin. Was that $12,000, $13,000? People have, a lot of undercover agents have been out there. And this is something that I was saying before, and this is just my personal opinion about it. I feel like governments are trying to figure out a way to be able to control the cryptocurrency space market world. They're focusing heavily on ICOs at the moment, and this is also another way that isn't typically usually very spoken about because local Bitcoins, while very well known, there's not a need for it to be in the news every single day. Like, there's not any huge major update for local Bitcoin every single day. The point is, make sure you know the laws where you are. Try to stay out of trouble, if I can say that, because it's getting serious. They're trying to, my opinion, find people who are doing things that they deem to be illegal, and they kind of dangle them in front of Congress and other places to say, we've done a survey, and this amount of people have been doing this illegally, therefore it is dangerous. So Yeah, just kind of how I feel about it. Uh, the market is doing what it's doing. The market isn't really going completely crazy. The idea right now is that crypto is probably going to hit $1 trillion. This guy said from speculation alone. He said, his name is Nick Tomino, said, I see investing in speculation as adoption. I think it's possible that crypto gets from 200 billion to several trillion on just that speculation. From my perspective, what I'm seeing globally in terms of viewing this new investable asset class, I think that's possible. We were very close. I think we were like 860 billion or something like that last year, to hitting $1 trillion. And that's when all the world governments kind of, hit the brake rapidly. I made sure that everyone knew that they were going to try and regulate it and give laws and all this other stuff. And just off of speculation alone, we hit that high. I think if governments had not said a thing, I think we would have easily gone over $1 trillion market cap. I think that we can still go over $1 trillion. For some reason, there's like this fear in so many people's hearts where this is happening, where the market isn't really moving at all. I personally think we could have easily hit maybe 1.3, 1.5 trillion without a doubt. I mean, it would have all been speculation, what have you, but I think we would have definitely gotten there. I don't know. At this point, I feel like crypto isn't going to move at all anymore unless we get some type of like regulatory clarity, or we know for certain that institutional players have gotten into the market. At some point, crypto is going to reach $1 trillion. We had news a day or two ago, something like that, where that guy was talking about that he definitely believes that the next bull run that we're going to see like a 20x or something like that in the market. Who knows exactly what's going to end up happening, but everyone is like incredibly bullish right now on the market, but it seems like the market doesn't realize that we're all talking about it and like it has to move. Anyway, let's move on. Last up, the head of Russia's central bank, Elvira Nabiullina, believes that crypto fever is beginning to diminish. Major Russian news agency RIA Novosti reported on Thursday. Nabiullina, while speaking at the Finance Innovation Forum Finapolis, held in the southern city of Sochi, said that she believes cryptocurrencies and blockchain are now being treated more rationally. She said, fortunately, the crypto fever has begun to diminish. Technologies such as blockchain have inspired great enthusiasm, but now, as far as we can see, the approach to them is more sober. The central bank head also noted that entrepreneurs are now seeking ways to implement blockchain in their business. For instance, Nabiullina, hope I'm saying that right, mentioned ICOs, considering them to be a perfect method to raise funds. However, she added that the fundraising method is poorly protected from fraud. I mean, not that it's really like diminished. I feel like, everyone is just kind of waiting for this one moment. Everyone, it's realistically difficult to be incredibly excited every single day when you see prices just completely going sideways. Like this is all that we've had for quite some time. I think that people are underestimating what's going to happen when the crypto market actually ends up moving again. In my opinion, I feel like a lot of the people who left the market, or rather who have left the cryptocurrency space, the moment Bitcoin goes over 10,000 again, I think these people are going to nosedive into the pool as quick as they possibly can, trying to get back into cryptocurrencies. And that's only going to cause a bit more of a fervor, because the power of FOMO is very real. You have to understand that. We are all capable of it. And if Bitcoin ends up going, let's say if Bakkt ends up launching as properly as we've been told that it was going to do so, and Bitcoin's price ends up going around 15,000 but towards the end of this year, I could definitely see us hitting around the $25,000 Bitcoin. And at that point, the market is going to go absolutely insane. And this is when I think we will hit over the $1 trillion. But I think as of now, I don't think it's diminishing, at least in my opinion. I think people have just, everyone's just kind of waiting now. Everyone is, the everyone's waiting for that moment. Anyway, that's definitely going to do it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, and or evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you once again for watching and or listening. And yeah, I'll talk to you all soon. See you.